But Ricochet made the Sicko segment, okay? And I'm a part of the Sicko segment as well. Just sticking up for my old buddy, old pal. So what had happened was Alfred Konuwa makes this video. As he does, he makes videos all the time. Now, to give you guys some backstory on Alfred Konuwa, he's a stand-up comedian, good friend, Forbes Sports. You guys know his channel, at Pro Wrestling Bits. At This Is Nasty on X. If you're watching on YouTube, you can see. And he makes videos about everybody. Now, do him and AEW and some of these dirt sheets and MELTS have beef? Yes, absolutely. Why? Because Alfred's a credible writer, and he does have credible sources. I mean, Jesus Christ, you guys see he gets interviews with like Hulk Hogan and Tiffy, and he's interviewed Bret Hart and Tony Khan. He got a Tony Khan interview when Tony Khan wasn't really doing too many. He's interviewed tons of people. AEW used to love him because he covers objectively. People say it's not objective, but I just think that's false. Like, go back and look at how he wrote about AEW in the past. Now, does he have beef with AEW now? Yes. I'll explain why. For those of you who don't know, maybe you're new to the show. He's been on PWT podcast multiple times, I think 2 or 3 times. You guys can go listen to my interviews and hangouts with him there. He explains all of this stuff. But Alfred covered AEW favorably when they were winning the ratings war. He would write things like NXT demolishes, or NXT demolished by AEW Dynamite. Dynamite smokes, whatever. This wrestler is the reason why whatever the is cooking, right? And Tony Khan loved it so much that he used Alfred's quotes in commercials for Dynamite that he aired during Raw and SmackDown. Forbes with Alfred's quote saying, trounces, NXT trounced by AEW Dynamite. But then when that stopped happening and Dynamite started up and Alfred started covering it the same way. He's just like, look, they get their ass kicked. This show isn't good. This show's heading down the wrong path. He got kicked off of this server where he would go that AEW, he's part of the media. So they go use our media pictures for when you write an article on your website. He has a little password. They changed their whole ass password. I don't know if you guys understand what I'm saying. There's like, if you've had a job in entertainment, like let's say you've worked on movie trailers. I don't know. Maybe I've done that in my past, right? And let's say, you might get a password and an access to a thing that has like a database full of images, whatever things you can use, right? Alfred had one of those. AEW removed him, but in order to do that, they had to change the whole credentials altogether and like send out probably a mass email to everybody going, hey, the passwords are changed. You know what I'm saying? All because Alfred started covering them not as favorably. And I think Tony had quoted Alfred before, and instead of Alfred pulling a Will Washington or anything like that, what he did was he just stuck to his guns and kept doing his thing and being funny and speaking objectively about this. And so when he was objective about Dynamite not crushing it in the ratings anymore and how the trajectory of the show has gone downwards, and I think Tony Khan took that very fucking personally because they had quoted him before and he didn't schmoz up and kiss ass to try and get a job like everyone else. Everybody wonders, they're like, why? Is AEW paying them? No. They see these dirt sheet people get featured and get clout and get jobs and get put on TV. They know that if they suck up to Tony Khan, you could get on TV. Aubrey Edwards had a match. We watched it at the top of the show. You can get on TV, guys. If you fucking tell this guy, he's great. You can get on TV. You can. I'm telling you, the audience. I'm telling you. And a lot of people believe that as well. So that's why they're all doing it. They hope that they can be on the next, I'm going to be the new unrestricted host or whatever job. Oh, AEW has a games channel. Maybe I can play with Evil Uno on the weekend. Like, they all just want a job. And everybody thinks they can book better than the actual bookers and shit. And people think they can write stories until it comes time to write fucking stories. And then people go, that there's like rules to this shit, right? And you just don't understand that. Like, wrestling is writing stories at the end of the day. It's like movies and shit. It's like TV. It's a weekly television program. Those need stories, like big time. That has to be like the main focus. Stories and characters. There's like rules to those things, right? And then you break those rules and then people point it out and then retards go, well, this is a story because this happened and this. It's just like, okay, whatever, I just can't, But I can't. We're not going to explain this. This is like fucking English class, high school. You didn't pay attention, clearly. Anyways, but Alfred posted this video. It triggered Pretty Ricky. And then it triggered me, I guess you could say I was triggered. Well, no, I just want to fucking stand up for my friend. I don't like when people call people who aren't grifters and people who work incredibly hard. And especially when Alfred used to be quoted by Tony Khan until he wasn't. So, and I'm not denying that since they rejected Alfred and like kicked him out of that image server thing, which by the way, they're just pictures from Google. Now it just takes him 5 more minutes to get all of his pictures. You guys get what I'm saying? Like for his articles or whatever. 2 minutes, if that, right? However, I'm not saying Alfred didn't take that personal and go, all right, well then fuck you guys. I'm not saying that. But he was getting the Fast Nationals. And they got triggered by that because the Fast Nationals always looked bad for them. Other than when Tony and them, Dave didn't have nothing to say when the Fast Nationals looked good for AEW, but when they looked bad for them, that's when it started. This Forbes writer, he's a grifter and all that shit. No, he writes for Forbes. No, he's a funny comedian doing sets all over. You guys are fucking stupid, angry, dumb. You know, so in AEW, not only do the inmates run the asylum, the incels do too. So this is in regards to what we're going to talk about later. Mina Shirakawa got her music fucking switched mid-show. And I have a take on that. I don't think many people will have, but either way, here's Alfred's thoughts on it. Ricochet, this triggered Ricochet enough for him to respond to it.
People don't actually understand how little authority Tony Khan has in life, let alone over his own product. AEW tried some new theme music with Mina Shirakawa, and the second them sickos cleared their throat to throw a temper tantrum, this Tony panicked and changed it back before the segment was even over. This is the same man who feared for his life during a 10-second pull-apart. Of course he's going to let himself get bullied by Twitter bots. Further proof of what happens when a subredditor is your CEO. Not only do the inmates run the asylum, the incels do too. At this point, who doesn't have authority over Tony Khan? Thank God TK isn't a parent. That Nepo babies would stay eating ice cream for breakfast because people don't.
That's hilarious. So then Ricochet says stuff like this shows me the level of fucking stupidity that infects the IWC. And it's like, what was stupid about what Ricochet said? Right? They changed her music because Tony was literally live tweeting with 4 sickos who are already like a sicko niche of the sickos, bro. Like the IWC crybaby sickos, right? Tony was responding to them like, I'm already changing the music back. Live while Dynamite's on in the middle of the match. She wins the match and the different music plays. So, like, I don't get what the level of stupidity is there, Ricochet, but I respond and I go, or no, Ricochet says this. This is what pissed me off. He goes, it's obvious that Alfred is a cancer. It shows that anyone who claims to love wrestling, then covers anything like he does in fact not love wrestling. Ricochet, you don't get to dictate that in other people's lives, but only wants the fame and attention that comes from covering sports. Yeah, maybe he wants fame and attention. I don't know. I don't like fame and attention. I think it's kind of cringe. I'm not going to lie. I appreciate you all tuning into my show and shit, but this is the extent of it. I'm going to talk to you, motherfuckers. Dude is a lowlife. Then calling him a lowlife. I don't know. Is he healing, chat? Let me know. Is he healing? Because it's like, do I go off on Rico? Like, lowlife, bro. Aren't you a dude who took a check to put your pinky in your butthole on the internet, bro? I just don't know if, like, you're the guy to be... And I just responded, I'm like, this is objectively retarded. And then fucking Ricochet goes, you follow more people than what follows you. Ha ha ha, fucking losers. Boom, roasted PWT in the PWT universe. Fucking smoked us.
For dirtbags and lily pickers.
Rico smoked us. But I actually think he's being smart here. I think he just knows, like, oh, this guy will just talk about it on his show after. He's just like, fucking losers. It's like, it's just one guy. But I just wrote, yeah, because I support wrestlers. That's not a known. And just like looking. So that means, this is what's funny, is that he sold for me. That means he had to like move his mouse and highlight, or more likely on his phone, he had to like go on my account, see that I'm funny. And that's where I get my kicks. So really, I won, you know, ultimately, because I just think about obscure shit. Like, imagine him on his phone reading me going, this is objectively retarded. And then him having to go, oh, man. And then clicking on the thing and then going, OK, you follow more people than what? And then going back to respond. That's what's funny. You had to click on the thing. And I'm not saying this takes a lot of time and like, oh, you wasted your time. I'm not doing that, Rico. Okay. Again, I'm not a cringe lord, bro. I keep the same energies here. Twitter's like, whatever. You can just lick shit off. But for me, the fact you sold it just pops me. So, and then the whole like, oh, the whatever follower thing. It's like, yeah, you're telling the truth. I follow like every wrestler and every wrestling promotion. You could have 700 followers. If I click on your thing and you have ring gear and you're like taking bookings or whatever, I'll likely follow you. You know what I mean? Or people who talk about wrestling and shit. Even if I disagree with you or your takes or not, for the most part, unless you're just a gross asshole, you know? But either way, yeah. And then a bunch of sickos came, like this guy's like, nice slurs, kindly remove yourself from the internet and existence in general. So this guy like wants me to do self-deletion to go to the Hardy compound and delete myself. But then my response is funny and I ratioed him. I'm like, I'm retarded too, so I'm allowed to say it. Let's fucking go. And then people are like, who the fuck are you? And stuff like that. It's like, it doesn't matter. He sold for me. And so I actually do thank you, Ricochet, because I did get like followers because of this. I got a bunch more like people retweeting and liking my shit because of this. And so that's cool. But yeah, I don't know if that's really an own. And I don't know if he's just healing. He might just be healing, but a lot of people are talking about, is he a guy who is getting go away heat, or is he like working you into buying a ticket? I don't think he's working people into buying a ticket. I think that this will like turn people off, if anything. However, you know why he does it. You know, he's looking at his social media engagement and he's loving it. I know he's just licking his chops right now. Like he's probably getting more interactions than he ever has by doing this shit. So I don't blame him even for trolling or hating on people, but I don't know. I'm going to stick up for my friends at the same time, while he's being serious or not, because let's say what he's saying is true, it's retarded. And if what he's saying is just him working, then it's a retarded approach, in my opinion. And then, yeah, I just get a kick out of you selling it, Rico, but we're cool, Twitter Ricky. I'm not going to, like, if I like your work, I'm going to put it over. I still think, which is weird to say, your match on that Dynamite, besides the cage match up until the schmaz stuff, your match with Gowan was probably like the standout from that show that got, right? Like he was selling his ass off. You worked a one-legged guy and got the crowd into it. So again, we're going to give fair dues, but yeah, I don't get offended by follower stuff. You know, it is what it is. But what else happened there, though? I thought there was another response. I said, this is objectively retarded. I said retarded like 700 times on the show. Sorry, YouTube. And so Ricochet, yeah, the stupidity. Alfred has some responses, I think, in AEW news. And so, yeah, I just got, Rico, all you did was like get people to tell me to like delete myself, which isn't cool. But like, I understand that you don't control what your followers do and shit like that. And I'm sure you wouldn't condone anyone doing that, just like I wouldn't condone anybody like telling you the same. And but yeah, just don't be so butthurt. Pause, right, Rico? No, don't be so butthurt over Alfred, right? He means well, but let's not start like galvanizing sickos to... That's the problem. These sickos like believe some of this shit. They believe the 30% Meltzer bump that we've chronicled here. They believe all this crazy stuff, right? I don't know. That was our sicko segment. I hope I did that justice. Did I get owned? Tell me in the poll. If you're on X right now, come in the chat over youtube.com/@ProWrestleClips. Let me know who won, Rico or Phil. So I got in a little sicko tiffy because Jim Ross, which we will get into, I don't even think we did AEW or WWE news yet, but you know, Jim Ross came down with cancer. So Inside the Ropes dropped an 8-minute clip of Jim Ross, and on the morning, a few hours before, he posted, I have been diagnosed with cancer or whatever, right? Colon cancer, which we're going to talk about in a bit. And an hour before he put that tweet out, I had put a tweet out that was already going viral of what he said in that 8-minute clip of Inside the Ropes. And sometimes I'll do those. I'll listen to a clip and I'm like, fuck, I don't know if like I'm going to spend time talking about this on the show, but here's the cliff notes, some interesting things that to me, I'm like, here's things we don't know maybe necessarily, right? Because they asked him about the CM Punk fight and all that, and he was there for that. So it's like, we never got JR's real perspective on that, not even on his pod. So anyways, this guy blew Thunderbomb. So Ricochet talks shit to me. And so we're going to talk about that in a bit. But Blue Thunderbomb says, yesterday, this jackass made a post twisting Jim Ross's words around Jack Perry and Brawl in yet again, trying to get attention with JR's cancer diagnosis. A real piece of shit. That's what this guy said about me, the queen. But I just respond, I go, yeah, that never happened. I listened to his most recent podcast appearances with Inside the Ropes, reiterated what he said verbatim in a post, and then he made that announcement. Stop being a retard. And then this guy goes, no, you didn't. You twisted his words and left out the parts in which, now listen to what he says here. Jim Ross praised Jack Perry and called him one of his favorites. We all know Jim Ross has praised Jack Perry and has called him one of his favorites. You fucking idiot. Sorry, I'm a bigger AEW fan than you, sicko. I already know that. I already know Jim Ross was the one who started calling him Jack Perry. That's all. It's all been done. Ooh, fucking 2-3 years ago, we knew this shit. What are you talking about? 4 years ago, I knew that. Everybody knows that. What we didn't know is that Jim Ross was like, Jack Perry was going to shit his pants, wasn't he? He was probably scared shitless. I didn't know Jim felt that way about that situation. Jesus Christ. So these people are fucking so dumb. You didn't like say all the good things that we already knew 8 years ago, or not 8 years, I guess they're around 6 years, but we already knew this fucking 5 years ago, and you didn't bring that part up. You did this purely to stoke the flames of drama to get attention while JR was trending due to his cancer diagnosis, you clout demon. Oh, God. And I was like, nope, that's like saying Inside the Ropes or clout demons for posting the clip from the interview that morning. You're a dumb person who's triggered. I didn't quote him saying that Jack Perry is something special. Who cares? We all know he thinks that already. Then he goes, why else would you post it? There's no need to stoke the flames of brawl-in drama. Listen to this idiot. I'm reacting to a clip, dumb fuck. Go tell this to Inside the Ropes then, who asked him about it. And this guy's like, which you clearly were on top of that JR's cancer diagnosis. You're a complete piece of shit, clout-hungry demon. And then I go, I said it an hour before, so I come with receipts. I said it an hour before he made his announcement. You're just retard angry over AEWs. I posted it because Inside the Ropes dropped that clip of their new interview with JR that morning. I don't know how else to explain this to you, kindergarten brain. It's called a coincidence. Are you ready for his response? Boom. There you fucking go. And so I can handle it, but some people can't handle this shit. And when like people like Ricochet do this retarded thing he's doing, you know, there's some real sick people who follow you, Rico. I hope you know that, dude. Real like dumb fucking crazy lunatics follow you who like freak out if you don't mention every good thing. And this guy's been stalking my page and it's like, you know, like luckily I can handle shit like that, but some people can't. You got to just be weary of who you're being like, I'll fight you. And like the threats other people might make towards them and shit. Because I've had people to tell me to delete myself on Twitter and shit. I've had people tell me, and I'm sure Rico's gotten this too, just for like going to AEW and shit, right? So that's why I'm bringing this up, because I'm sure he can be empathetic to that. But I also called him retarded, so I had it coming. But I can handle this shit, right? I can handle myself. I'm good. So I'm just saying other people, though, because social media sort of ruined the way people react and like, interact with each other rather and react to things. And like I had people telling me the last 2 days, like, delete yourself. I don't want to say it because we're on YouTube, you know, but like, you know, in Minecraft, get oofed, you know. I had a bunch of that. So